The phenomenon of dreaming often feels like a sequence of random late-night movies playing in the back of the mind, but what if those images are actually sophisticated gravitational maps of our future? According to Joe Bandel's The OAK Matrix Unleashed, specifically Chapter 28, dreams function as an inductive realm that mirrors the physical world, where events attract other events through a kind of psychic gravity before they ever manifest in our waking lives.
It is a fascinating shift in perspective because it moves us away from seeing dreams as mere leftovers of the day's stress and towards seeing them as precursors. Bandel describes this as the inductive realm, mirroring the capacitive physical world. In physics, induction is about generating an electromotive force by changing a magnetic field. Applying that to consciousness, dreams are where we sense the magnetic buildup of probabilities. If you dream about a conflict, it is not necessarily a prophecy that it will happen, but a recognition that the energy surrounding that situation has reached a gravitational mass, where it is likely to pull a real-world event toward you.
That idea of probability versus prophecy is crucial. Many people get spooked by a bad dream because they think it's a fixed destiny. But if we treat it like gravity, it feels more manageable. If I see a ball rolling toward the edge of a table in my dream, I'm seeing the momentum, not a decree that the ball must break on the floor. Is Bandel suggesting that the dream state is actually a laboratory where we can test these gravitational pulls?
Exactly. He refers to it as a pre-physical workout. Because the dream world is fluid and global rather than rigid and localized like matter, we can experience the consequences of our current trajectory without the physical lock-in. It is a simulation of forces. When you have a recurring stress dream, Bandel would argue that energies are clustering around a specific issue in your life. The gravity of that issue is getting stronger. By resolving the conflict within the dream, or by recognizing the cluster and changing your behavior in the waking world, you are essentially shifting the magnetic field before the event solidifies into physical reality.
I want to push back on the loving embrace concept he mentions. He frames this duality, the dream gravity and the physical manifestation, as a harmonious partnership between feminine and masculine principles. He calls dream gravity feminine because it draws inward like a womb, and physical manifestation masculine because it pushes outward into creation. While the metaphor is poetic, isn't it a bit reductive to gender these forces? Why frame it as a romance rather than just a mechanical feedback loop?
It's a fair critique, but I think the intention behind the loving embrace terminology is to emphasize balance and non-coercion. In a mechanical feedback loop, there is a sense of cold inevitability. By using the language of duality and embrace, Bandel is suggesting that the dream world isn't trying to trap us in a fate. Instead, the containing nature of the dream gravity provides a safe space for the expansive physical reality to take shape. It's like an oak tree, his central metaphor. The acorn needs the gravitational pull of fertile soil to ground itself before it can expand into the sky. Without that inward pull, the outward growth has no foundation.
So the dream is the soil. But let's talk about the symbolism, because that's where most people get lost. If I dream of a snake, a standard dream dictionary might say betrayal. Bandel seems to reject those universal keys in favor of a personal code. How are we supposed to build a predictive map if the legends on the map keep changing based on our individual history?
That is actually the strength of his approach. Universal dictionaries often fail because they ignore the unique resonance of the dreamer. In the OAK matrix, symbolism is a private language. If you grew up loving snakes as pets, a snake in your dream represents a completely different energy cluster than it would for someone with an intense phobia. To build that predictive map, you have to look at the dream through two lenses simultaneously, the internal and the external. The internal lens asks, what does this symbol mean to my personal history? The external lens asks, what shared energies or environmental forces is this symbol tapping into? It's a resonant circuit between your private psyche and the collective field.
Let's dig into that resonant circuit idea. He describes the link between the inductive dream world and capacitive atomic reality as a perpetual exchange of current. This implies that dreams don't just reflect reality, they can actually impel it. That sounds like a heavy claim, Are we saying that dreaming about a breakthrough can actually charge the physical world to make it happen?
In this framework, yes. Think of it like a capacitor in electronics. A capacitor stores energy in an electric field. The dream world, the inductive side, generates the current through its simulations and gravitational clusters. When the energies align, when your internal dream resolution matches your external actions, the circuit closes and the event is impelled into existence. This is how Bandel explains historical turning points or personal eureka moments. The work was done in the magnetic field of the dream realm first, building up enough charge that its manifestation in the physical world becomes almost effortless.
If that's the case, then ignoring our dreams isn't just a loss of self-knowledge, it's actually a form of navigational negligence. If you aren't checking your energy audits, as he calls them, you're basically flying blind through these gravitational fields. But how do we actually do this without becoming obsessed or paranoid about every weird image we see while we sleep?
It comes down to practical application and discernment. Bandel suggests a few specific tools. One is the prediction journal. You don't just write down what happened, you identify the energies involved. Was the dream empowering or weakening? An empowering dream suggests you have positive momentum in a certain area. A weakening dream is a warning of an imbalance. If you dream of losing your voice in a meeting, you don't panic about the meeting, you look for the gravitational cluster. Are you feeling unheard in your waking life? Is there a tension you haven't addressed? By shifting the waking action, perhaps by having a difficult conversation before the meeting, you essentially drain the negative gravity from that dream event, preventing the physical crash.
So it's an intervention strategy. You see the cluster forming, and you use your waking consciousness to break it up. He also mentions an energy shift ritual and probability exercises. This moves dreams out of the realm of passive observation and into active participation. But does this imply that everything that happens to us is something we dreamed up first? Because that sounds dangerously close to victim blaming for negative events.
That is a vital distinction to make. Bandel is careful to note that we are part of a magnetic web. We aren't the only ones generating gravity. There are shared energies, environmental forces, and the trajectories of others that all intersect. However, he argues that our dream awareness is global. It senses these incoming forces. You might not have caused a storm, but your dream might sense the gravitational pull of that storm coming toward your life. The empowerment doesn't come from total control over the universe. It comes from the ability to pivot. If the dream shows a weakening trajectory, you use that foresight to strengthen your position or change your path. It's about navigation, not omnipotence.
I like the idea of the energy audit because it feels less mystical and more like a psychological dashboard. But let's talk about the loops he mentions. He says that under tremendous conflict, loops occur until there's a resolution, a permanent shift in the magnetic web. We've all had those recurring dreams. Are those just our minds failing to solve a gravitational equation?
In a sense, yes. A recurring dream is a sign that the energy hasn't been grounded or shifted. The gravity of the situation is so strong that it keeps pulling your consciousness back to the same point of tension. Bandel suggests that these loops only break when there is a permanent shift, meaning you've either resolved the issue in the dream state or, more effectively, you've made a change in the physical world that alters the magnetic signature of the problem. Once the conflict is resolved, the current can flow again, and the dreams will evolve into new sequences.
It really reframes the whole concept of luck or coincidence. If we see a friend we just dreamed about, or a conflict arises that mirrors a dream from the night before, we aren't seeing a glitch in the matrix. We're seeing the result of gravitational attraction. The like energies attracted each other in the inductive realm, and we just happened to be there when they solidified in the capacitive one. But what about people who claim they don't dream? Does that mean they have no inductive life, or just that they've lost the connection to the circuit?
Bandel would likely say the circuit is always running. They just aren't reading the meter. Everyone dreams. It's a biological and, in his view, metaphysical necessity for processing these forces. Those who don't remember their dreams are simply missing the extension of their physical reality. They are reacting to events as they happen, rather than navigating the probabilities beforehand. That's why he emphasizes that these concepts provide empowering clarity. When you start tracking the gravity of your dreams, You move from being a reactive participant to an intentional co-creator.
The oak tree metaphor really comes full circle here. An oak dreams its winter dormancy to prepare for the spring bloom. It's not just waiting, it's gathering the necessary internal forces to sustain the outward expansion. If we apply that to our lives, our dreams are the roots, pulling in insights and energy to nourish the leaves of our waking actions. It's a holistic system where neither side is more important than the other, but they must work in tandem.
And that tandem relationship is the loving embrace he talks about. It's the rejection of the idea that dreams are less real than the physical world. They are both part of the same extension of reality. By acknowledging the dream world as an active precursor where we test consequences, we stop being victims of fate and start being navigators of gravity. Whether it's a 10-minute daily meditation on a specific issue to gravitate positive outcomes, or simply paying closer attention to your personal symbolism, the goal is the same: alignment.
It's a bold way to look at the night shift of the human mind. Instead of just shutting down, we're actually out there in the magnetic field, scouting the terrain. If Joe Bandel is right, our dreams aren't just telling us who we were or what we're afraid of. They're showing us the shape of tomorrow and giving us the chance to move the furniture before we arrive.
That proactive power is the ultimate takeaway. When you stop dismissing your dreams as nonsense and start seeing them as gravitational event clusters, you gain a level of strategic insight that most people leave on the pillow. It's about turning those nighttime insights into a daytime strategy. We are constantly moving through these fields of attraction, and the more we understand the code, the more intentional our lives become.
If this idea of dreams as gravitational maps has you rethinking your last night's sleep, take a moment to look for the clusters in your own life. Sharing this conversation might just be the spark someone else needs to start navigating their own dream destiny more intentionally.